Don't assume that everybody on social media is as knowledgeable as you. Don't assume that everybody on social media has good examples around them. Don't assume that everybody on social media is not easily influenced because you think you're not. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Victoria Ayodele-Fash. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Thank you for always coming back to this channel, for your love, for your likes, for your comments. I am so grateful to you guys. All right, I know it's been a minute, okay? I think over the course of the week, I made an announcement on the community page that will be starting from the next video, okay? So we'll be starting from, if you know, you know, okay? If you don't know, go to the community page, go to the post page on my channel and you would be, you would know. So that will be starting from the next video because I had already recorded it. That was recorded in a vlog format, but I don't like to post vlogs on Sundays. Sundays are for sit-down videos. So we'll start that in the next video, okay? So I already got you guys, all right? Okay. So today I actually want us to talk about a very controversial issue, something that has been trending on social media lately, right? Especially if you're on Instagram and you know you're a fan of the Diary of a Niger Girl. I love the Diary of a Niger Girl. I've been following her for a while. I think it was Yemi Ayodeji that actually introduced me to her when we're doing Truth and Tales podcast. God, I really miss recording with Yemi. Oh my God, I miss the energy. Anyways, I can't even wait for us to record together again. She's going to, it's either she comes to visit or I go to Chester. One of it will happen very soon. I totally miss filming with her. Anyways, I think she was the one who introduced me to her during one of the segments we recorded. And since then, I had been following her. I love her content, love her. I have nothing against her. If you are a subscriber or a follower of her, kudos to you. This is not a this is not a fight video. This is just a video that, for me to share my views and what I think. And I would like to hear what you guys think about the whole, surrogacy situation, right? Now, this is not a topic I would normally talk about, but I just feel like, when it comes to social media, there are responsibilities that comes with it, people's mindsets. And you might think that your mindset, you are so strong. Your mindset is not being changed. Nobody can influence your mindset or, the way you think about things. But you'll be amazed that whether you like it or not, the person you are today is a totality of your environment. It's a totality of everything that you take in, right? The opinions you have today, it's a totality of everything, whether it's formal, whether informal, whether social. Everything is a totality of all that you know, growing up. That's why a person that grew up in Nigeria would not think normally the same way as a person who grew up in America, regardless of if they are the same age or they were born the same time, right? Your environment does play a factor. And whether you like it or not, your mindset is being shaped by what you consume on social media, right? So that's why I think that, there are responsibilities that, especially if you call yourself an influencer, there are responsibilities and it's important that we strike balance when we try to talk about topics like this, right? So again, this is not a video to condemn. This is a video for us to just talk, to chat, to share our opinions about, the topic. Now, in case you're new to this whole issues and you don't really know what's going on. So Ife is, she's a Nigerian influencer. She has a blog. My husband apparently said she started writing, right? And then I think I started following her when she went on Instagram. Well, she writes on Instagram too anyway. So Ife is a Nigerian influencer, and she is the owner of the Diary of a Niger Girl. She also owns a beauty brand, which I use, by the way. If you watch my previous vlog, you know that I use Dank product. So you know that, I don't have anything against her. But anyways, she came recently. I think the first video she talked about was about, if you are approaching 40 or 40 and above and you hope to have children, but you don't have a spouse yet, that she advises that you go and freeze your eggs, which, to be honest, I didn't have any issues with that because I think that's just a biological thing. And again, I cannot relate, so I don't have an opinion, right? I got married early, so I don't have an opinion in it. And to me, it just made sense because if you're getting older, yes, it's expensive. Yes, definitely it is expensive. But if you have the funds and you can do it, we all know that the older you get, the less the quality of eggs, the less the eggs that you produce and everything, because unlike men that, they get their sperm, their spermatozoa, whatever, gets replenished every now and then. For women, you are born with all the eggs that you will ever have. The day you are born, you have everything in you, right? So yeah, the older you get, the more it depreciates. So it's better for you to, if you can afford it, it's better for you to get it. I mean, it has its own side effects, there are a number of things that comes, but again, every birth has its own issues, right? So I totally had no issues with the fact that she advised women who, want to have children but don't have life partners yet, and whilst they're waiting to get the person, that they freeze their eggs. Which, it's a different, because the person you marry also must be willing to want to go through that. So anyways, I didn't have any issues with that. But then she came out recently to give another advice, riding on the controversies, because I think some people did not agree with the egg freezing thing, and it was like a whole thing. I really did not see an issue with it. But then she decided that because people were so angry about that, she wanted to then make them more angry, because this is not literally, but that was how she presented the situation. And then she came back to advise women that you don't have to carry your children. And now I will not have a problem. In short, let's play that video just so that, we have an understanding of what's going on here, okay?
If you're a woman, you have no fertility complications, you can carry a child to term, and you decide by yourself that you don't want to do that and you want to use a surrogate instead, your decisions are valid. You don't owe anybody any medical report, apology, or an explanation. Let's make the story personal here. I have a womb. I don't have any fertility complications. I'm perfectly healthy, but I'm still going to use a surrogate. I just don't want to use it. I don't want to use my womb, okay? You don't owe anybody any explanation. People expect that people who use surrogate or want to use a surrogate must have a tragedy story. It's not true. I don't have a tragedy story. Not everyone does. I figured out what offends people is the autonomy that a woman dares say, I choose not to go through childbirth and pregnancy. The audacity.
So basically, that's the entire video. Basically, now, like I said, I don't have any problem if you come out to say, oh, I will not do this. I don't have a problem, which, she said. If she came out and the whole video was about her saying that I don't have a fertility issue, but I will be using a surrogate. Number one, you don't, which for me, it defeats the whole purpose, because you're coming to say that you don't owe anybody any explanation, but here you are explaining yourself to the world. Nobody asked you to begin with. If you come and you have a child and you say, oh, this is not true surrogacy, nobody's going to question. Well, personally, I wouldn't. I'm sure there are crazy people on social media that will be all up in your business. But if you're coming to say you don't owe anybody any explanation, why are you coming to say I will be using a surrogate? Who asked you? Why are you explaining? So to me, that's like you are contradicting what you're trying to pass across. So that's one side. So let me start with the fact that I have nothing against surrogacy. As a matter of fact, I am a supporter of it if there is a need for it, because there are different women that cannot, produce due to one reason or the other, especially if it's a female factor. I've had repeated miscarriages. I know a number of people, even celebrities in Nigeria. Most recently, I think one of the key people that went through surrogacy, there's a woman, Abiola, I think she's a Yoruba actress, and then the other one was Nancy, and I think Iniedo also went through, but all three of them had some reasons why they had to opt for that. There are women who have issues with retaining pregnancy. There are women who constantly have miscarriages. There are women who, for some reason, their womb just would not, hold. And I know a number of women like that who, after a certain period, the child comes down, their womb, either the wall, the lining of their womb is not thick enough, or their cervix keeps opening. And, there are a lot of medical issues like that women face that does not allow them to be able to carry their children, right? And in those cases, they are able to get somebody to help them to carry their children. They go for surrogacy. So I absolutely have no disagreement. In short, from the Christian standpoint, there are people who, argue that Mary was a surrogate for God, because she and Joseph had no contribution in Jesus being in her womb. So there is an argument like that. So basically, I have absolutely no reservation about it. The issue that I have particularly with this post that Ife made is the fact is when we start to rationalize commercializing surrogacy. So basically, it's no longer about need, it's about because I want to and because I can afford it, therefore I go for it. Now, the issue that I have, and remember, I am open to hear you guys' your views or your opinions. This is just mine, okay? So please just listen with an open heart, regardless of whether you are a big follower or regardless of what your relationship with, if it might be. Just listen to what I'm saying, right? Now, am I saying that women, it's your body. You have every right to do whatever you want with your body. But the problem is I highlighted what I wanted to say, right? The first problem with trying to rationalize commercializing surrogacy is the fact that when demand is high and supply is low, you start to trigger a lot of chain reactions, right? So when it goes to the highest bidder, when women now decide that I'm not going to have children, or I don't want to carry pregnancy, I'm just going to outsource pregnancy to somebody else to carry it for me and pay them a lot of money because I can afford it. The problem is those who then actually need it and cannot afford to pay as much as the person who just decides she doesn't want to carry, because now the idea is to normalize not wanting to carry pregnancy and just outsource it to somebody else to carry, like you're outsourcing cleaning your house or nannying your children to somebody, right? Outsource pregnancy also. Now, when we start to outsource it, what happens? Demand becomes low, and those who can afford it are now the only people who can access it, right? And that's why a lot of countries, including France, Italy, Germany, even Canada, they don't allow the commercialization of surrogacy. That is, you don't pay for it, because they realize that once people start to, and which is what is going on in a lot of countries, including Nigeria, right? Where when people start to pay for it, it's no longer about who needs it, it's about who is the highest bidder. And it's a disadvantage for those who actually need this service, that cannot afford to pay what you can afford to pay when you have nothing wrong with you. Now, I know there are people who go on to talk about how, oh, Ife is older, she probably might, because, obviously, when it comes to medical, there's some age they would advise you that you don't get pregnant or you don't carry pregnancy. But she herself came out to say she has no problem with fertility, right? She has no fertility issues, but she's still going to use a surrogate. Now, that is the story that I'm going to play with, because I don't know the other part. I cannot verify their story. So I'm going to play with her own story. You don't have an issue. If you decide to do that, are there not women who do it? Yes, there are. There are people who don't have problem, but they just don't want to carry their last pregnancy or whatever. So they outsource it for. Maybe they had a traumatic birth. That is even a story. That is even a reason, right? But you don't have any issues. You just want to. There are women who do it, but you don't come out to try to rationalize it, because it's not rational. Because guess what? When demand drops and it now goes to the highest bidder, what happens? They'll start to set up a lot of surrogate agencies. Before you know what's happening, child trafficking will start. Before you know what's happening, they'll start to extort women. Before you know what's happening, it becomes a ripple effect. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Because sometimes when you think about an idea, you wonder if every other person thinks like this, what kind of ripple effect is it going to have? Number one, a woman's womb is not just something you hire. Commercializing surrogacy should not be something that, we just rationalize and just say, oh, it's normal. Every woman should be able to decide whether or not she wants to carry a child or not. Every woman should be able to outsource her pregnancy to somebody else. And I don't care the reasons you give. If you say, oh, I don't like the symptoms that comes with it, oh, but you're okay when somebody else have those symptoms. Oh, and I know people come and say, oh, what about our jobs? Are we not being paid and being used? Whatever. You can't compare your job and, and literally your body. Those are two, unless you are, selling your body, which is a separate thing, because that's also unethical, right? So I'm saying that there are a lot of countries that have put a ban totally on surrogacy or restricted it to ensure that people are not being paid. They are being compensated, of course, for any medical costs that they incur during the course of the pregnancy, but anything above that, they don't allow it. And there are good reasons for it. And I think we have to actually sit down and analyze why these reasons are. And it's because of the exploitation of women that would eventually happen if this is encouraged to continue. The other day I was on Instagram and I was reading stories of women that were talking about when they were in universities and how people were selling their eggs. It was so ridiculous to me. I didn't even, that was the first time I ever heard of something like that. And I didn't even know it was very rampant in universities in Nigeria, where people were being paid to donate their eggs for money. So I get the need for surrogacy, but my problem again is the fact that if this mindset that she is trying to help us to rationalize, if it is encouraged, the people that actually have the need will not be able to access those services, because it's already expensive enough to be able to go through all the process of, getting the surrogate, to get the IVF and everything. It's already expensive enough. I was telling my husband that it reminds me of a post on Instagram I saw of a woman talking about using Pampers instead of pad for her menstrual cycle, just because, you know, the way pads have been designed in Nigeria and blah, 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 which, to be honest, I don't blame her. If you have a heavy flow, you understand her situation, right? However, the problem is that if every woman decides to use Pampers, or 50% of women decide to use Pampers for their period, imagine how high the price of Pampers is going to be. Mothers will not be able to afford Pampers for their babies. So do you understand what I'm saying? It's the fact that if we start to rationalize this ideology, it's going to create a ripple effect that will end up affecting those who actually need the service, but they won't be able to access it. And then it will go to the highest bidder. So it's no longer about need, it's about who is paying me more, right? And when we start to commercialize it, people will start to put their health and their body at risk. You know, so you just give birth to one, but you want to quickly take the other one because of money. Do you understand that? So no matter how much you try to think about it, it just doesn't make sense. And if every woman, and the other point that I had is, if every woman thinks the same way that you think, that's Ifena, if every woman had the same ideology about, oh, you know, I don't want to have it, then who is going to carry it? Who is going to carry it? Because I don't think we understand. And if you're sensitive enough in the spirit and you study your Bible enough, you will understand that one of the end time agenda of the enemy is to ensure that less and less children are had. Go and check all over the world. Check in America. How many children have been given birth to in a year? Check about the birth rate and how low it has gotten. Because if they are not kids, how will the future generation, how will there be a future generation? So at the end of the day, we need to be careful that the things that we are promoting is actually not promoting the agenda of the enemy. Because when we start to promote the fact that, why do you have to carry a child? Why do you have to, what is the point? Just outsource it. So if I can only afford to outsource to get one, let me just get one. If I cannot afford it, why do I have to? You know, we are normalizing a mindset that I don't have to carry a child. And to be honest, you don't have to. Nobody's forcing anybody to. But one of the commandments that God gave to us is to be fruitful and to multiply. Yes, I know pregnancy comes with its complications. People lose their life because of pregnancy and everything. That will never be any of our portion in Jesus' name. But the fact still remains that this is what we are created to do. This is what God created us to do, to bring forth. And I'm talking to Christians now. I'm not talking to anybody that feminists. I'm talking to Christians. That is the primary agenda of marriage. Read your Bible. It just doesn't make sense to me, because then women, if everybody thinks that way, who is going to have the child? If every woman have that idea, who is going to carry the pregnancy, right? And if you're talking about, oh, is the complication is this, why is it okay for you not to go through that, but you would allow a fellow woman to go through that and pay her? How would you feel if you're saying, oh, the pregnancy, whatever, but another woman dies while having your child? Do you get that? So I'm just saying that whatever your reason is, if it's not a need, and you just want to rationalize it, I mean, if you go and do it, it's fine. No, but I will never question you. But when you're coming out to promote an agenda that people should be just want to do it for no reason, to me, and I'm saying again, to me, it absolutely makes no sense, right? Now, when I was having this conversation, you know, it came up yesterday when I was making my hair, and I was having this conversation with my cousin, and she mentioned something. She said, it's the way it, and again, I don't have anything against, you know, the lady, and I keep saying this, I just want to ensure that we are being ethical, because as an influencer, there are people who are following you. Remember, I started this video by talking about how, whether you like it or not, you might think that, oh, it doesn't touch me. Your mindset, the things you think, your worldview is being shaped by everything in your environment. There are people that in their life, they've never thought about going for surrogacy when they don't need it. They've never thought about it. But guess what? If you have said it and now it's in your consciousness, you start to think, yeah, why do I have to? It doesn't make sense. If I have the money, you know, you will start to think about it, right? Whether you like it or not. It now becomes an idea in your head. 10, 20 years from now, it could still be something, an ideology in your head, because that's just how the world works, right? Now, she mentioned something. She said, it's not just about, you know, and this comes back to the fact about influencing and the ethical responsibility that many of us have that we don't realize sometimes, or that we misuse sometimes. It's the fact that people's lives are being shaped. People's ideologies, people's worldview are being shaped. Because I remember when I went to the comments, people were like, did she force anybody? She didn't force anybody. But no, a teenager would come across that post and say, okay. And 10 years goes by, and she's pushing this ideology that And she might even forget, she must have forgotten that it was from a video she watched on Instagram. How many of us, some of the mindsets we have now, we didn't see it growing up, it wasn't from our parents, it was from our environment, right? The marriage that we have now, it's because of what we see. Even a lot of things in my marriage, it's not necessarily from what I saw from my home growing up, it's from what I saw from other people, right? So whether you like it or not, it happens. And a naive teenager would see that, and a mind, a worldview, and everything would be shaped by that. Men has come, men has come. It was one person that started it. And what happened? It blew. Everybody started saying it's men has come. Do you understand that? Before then, you didn't think men were scum until you heard it. And then you started to relate it to something that happened to you and something that happened to you. So that's just to let you know. And that's where I'm going to end this. That when you have a platform, you have a responsibility, right? Not everything has to be said. Not everything has to be... And I think the issue I have is not everything has to be a feminism movement. Not everything has to be about women empowerment. This has nothing to do with women empowerment. I know you that you're grown, you already decide you have your child. Nothing in first is going to change your mind. But this is not for you. This is for the other people that don't have their mind made up as you. Don't assume that everybody on social media is as knowledgeable as you. Don't assume that everybody on social media has good examples around them. Don't assume that everybody on social media is not easily influenced because you think you're not, or because you are not. So that is why, as an influencer, it is important that you take your ethical responsibility and your moral responsibility very, very seriously. Why do we always have to make every controversial thing feminism? Why? Why is everything has to be, because when you watch the video to the end, she went on to talk about how, she thinks it's the audacity that women have to want to decide to, that's not why. That's not why society frowns upon it. It's just not morally right. And how you know it's not morally right is because there are countries that literally do not allow this. And these are countries that have laws, right? Not Nigeria now, right? Not to say Nigeria doesn't have laws, but you know what I'm saying? There are countries that ban this because they have made research and they have seen how this is going to end if it is not nipped in the bud. Surrogacy is for a need. It is there for a need. It's just like there are a lot of medicine, right? A lot of drugs that are for diabetics for this, but people use them. They abuse them. They use it for weight loss. They use it for this. They use it for that. But does it make it right? No. We don't know. You don't know what the long-term effect will be, but you're using it for a temporary solution. It's the same thing in this scenario where you're talking about, let us normalize it. Let's not normalize it. Let's not normalize it. As Christians especially, God created you for you to be able to bring forth. Right? And let us not be so westernized or be so humanized that we forget that we are also spiritual beings, that we also don't live by sight, we also live by faith, right? So that we don't try to make measures for ourselves. Just because I can doesn't mean you should. Just because you can afford it doesn't make it right. So I get it. I get her ideologies. I get that there are women who face issues, but that mindset of let us make it normal, that's what I don't agree with. But again, these are my opinions, and these are some of the reasons that I think that this is a dangerous thing for us, a dangerous ideology for us to embrace. But I like to hear what you think about it. What do you think? You don't have, please, like I said, I don't have anything against the fair. I don't have anything against whatever. I'm just sharing my opinion, right? So, and I'd like to hear what yours says, all right? I'd like to read from you in the comment section. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Until we meet again, my name still remains Victoria Idelifash, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Again, watch out for the next video. We'll do everything we talked about in the post, the riddles and everything, okay? In the next video, okay? So I'll see you guys then, all right? Have an amazing week. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you for all you do. God bless you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Please remember to like this video, share this video, leave your comment. Let us chat, okay? Thank you guys. Have an amazing week, okay? Bye. Bye, guys.